I want you to hear this with your whole heart. The worst thing that ever happened to you may also be the doorway to the bravest, truest life you've ever lived. I know that sounds impossible. I know it sounds cruel, but stay with me because grief is not here to destroy you. It's here to remake you. Now listen to me gently. Grief is not a season you simply survive and then leave behind like an old house. Grief moves in. It rearranges the furniture of your soul. It sits beside you in silence. It steals your breath. It changes the way music sounds, the way food tastes, the way mornings feel. It teaches you a language you never asked to learn. And here's the part, no one tells you grief doesn't just take. It also reveals. It reveals the depth of your love. It reveals your capacity to endure. It reveals the tenderness you didn't know you were strong enough to carry. You are not weak because you're still hurting. You are human because you loved deeply. Some of you are walking around pretending you're fine because you're tired of being the sad one. Some of you are carrying your grief like a secret you're ashamed of. Some of you are furious at life, at God, at the universe, at yourself. I see you. And I need you to know this. There is nothing wrong with you because you can't move on. Love doesn't move on. Love mourns. Love remembers. Love aches. But love also grows, and that's where this story begins. Not with how to get over your loss, not with how to forget who you lost, but with how grief, as brutal and unfair as it is, can become the ground where a new beginning quietly, painfully, and courageously takes root. You are not at the end of your life. You are at a sacred, terrifying, powerful threshold, and you are not crossing it alone. Let me tell you the truth no one prepares you for. Loss doesn't just break your heart. It breaks your map. You wake up one morning and the world looks the same, but nothing fits anymore. The future you were quietly planning in your head, gone. The version of yourself you used to be, gone. The sense of safety you didn't even realize you were living inside, gone. Grief is not polite. It does not arrive gently. It crashes into your life like a storm that rips the roof off your identity. And the most terrifying part, you don't just miss them. You miss who you were when they were alive. You miss the way you laughed without checking the clock. You miss the ease of believing things would work out. You miss the innocence of thinking, this will never happen to me. Grief shatters your assumptions about fairness, timing, control, and meaning. It forces you to confront the brutal truth that love makes us vulnerable, and vulnerability is the price of being alive. People will tell you, be strong. What they really mean is, please don't make me uncomfortable with your pain. But strength is not pretending you're okay. Strength is letting your knees buckle in the grocery store aisle because their favorite cereal is still on the shelf. Strength is waking up every morning and choosing to stay in a world that took someone you loved more than your own breath. Here's what grief teaches in this brutal stage. You cannot build a new life on denial. You cannot outrun pain without carrying it into every future relationship, every dream, every decision. So if you feel shattered, good. Not because pain is good, but because breaking open is the only way truth gets in. You are not falling apart. You are falling open. And what feels like the end of everything you were is the beginning of everything you are becoming. There is a kind of loneliness that only grief can create. It's not the loneliness of being by yourself. It's the loneliness of being surrounded by people who cannot go where you are. You sit in rooms full of conversation and laughter, and you feel like you're underwater. Everyone else is breathing easily, and you're counting every inhale like it might be your last. People stop saying their name. People stop bringing them up. People start treating your grief like an awkward guest that's overstayed its welcome. And suddenly you realize something devastating, the world moved on. And you're still standing in the moment everything broke. Grief isolates you not because others don't care, but because they don't know how to care in a way that doesn't try to fix you, rush you, or silence you. They'll say things like, they're in a better place. Or, at least you had so many good years. Or, everything happens for a reason. And every one of those sentences lands like a small betrayal. Because what you really want to hear is, I know this hurts. I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to be okay for me to stay. But grief teaches you something fierce and sacred here. You learn how to sit with yourself in unbearable silence. You learn how to hold your own hand through the longest nights of your life. You learn that you are deeper, braver, and more self-compassionate than you ever imagined. And slowly, painfully, something shifts. You stop looking for people to rescue you from your grief. You start looking for people who can witness it. That's when new connections begin to form. Not shallow ones, not performative ones, but soul-level relationships built on honesty, vulnerability, and the shared language of loss. Grief strips away your appetite for small talk. It hands you a hunger for realness. And in that hunger, you begin to find your people. And the first quiet seed of your new beginning is planted. Here's the part that feels almost offensive when you're deep in pain. Grief does not just take meaning from your life. It demands that you create a deeper one. Loss burns away the surface dreams you used to chase, the ones built on applause, approval, comfort, and timelines you thought you were entitled to. Suddenly, you don't care about climbing ladders that lean against empty walls. You don't care about impressing people who don't know your middle name. You don't care about playing small, safe, or silent anymore. Because when death touches your life, it rewrites your priorities with fire. You start asking dangerous, holy questions like, what actually matters now? What am I doing with this fragile, borrowed life? If tomorrow isn't promised, how brave do I want to be today? And that's when purpose begins to shift, not into something flashy, not into something Instagram-worthy, but into something true. Some of you feel called to serve because you know what suffering feels like. Some of you feel called to create because grief unlocked a voice you didn't know you had. Some of you feel called to love harder, forgive faster, and live louder because you understand how quickly everything can be taken. Grief makes you intolerant of meaningless days. It teaches you that purpose isn't found in 5-year plans. It's found in presence, in courage, in showing up fully alive in a world that broke your heart. You are not becoming bitter. You are becoming awake. And when you stop trying to go back to who you were, you make room for who you are meant to be. That is not betrayal of who you lost. That is legacy. That is love refusing to die, and that is the beginning of purpose after loss. Let's talk about the quiet shame no one names. The moment you laugh again, the moment you feel a flicker of hope, the moment you enjoy something without immediately thinking of them, and suddenly your chest tightens with guilt because part of you believes that healing means forgetting, because part of you believes that joy is a betrayal. Part of you believes that if you stop hurting, you're letting them go. So you punish yourself, you replay memories until they bruise. You stay stuck in sorrow like it's a form of loyalty. You hold on to pain because it feels like the last place they're still alive. But hear me now, and hear me clearly, your grief is not the measure of your love. Love is not proven by how long you suffer. Love is proven by how deeply you lived with them and how bravely you carry their imprint forward. You are allowed to want a life again. You are allowed to feel lightness in a body that has known devastation. You are allowed to build something beautiful after something terrible. Moving forward does not mean moving away from them. It means moving with what they gave you, their laughter in your laugh, their kindness in your kindness, their courage in your courage. When you choose joy again, you are not erasing them. You are honoring the part of them that wanted you to live. Grief will try to convince you that your only choices are be loyal to your pain or be disloyal to your love. That is a lie. The truth is this: you can miss them every day of your life and still build a life worth living. That's not betrayal. That's devotion transformed. And when you let yourself step forward without self-punishment, you take another sacred step into your new beginning. Here's the crossroads grief drags you to. Whether you're ready or not, you can let this pain make you bitter, or you can let this pain make you brave. And I know that sounds unfair because you didn't ask for this. You didn't consent to this lesson. You didn't choose this suffering. But grief doesn't care about fairness. It only asks one terrifying question: what kind of person are you going to become now pain has a way of armoring the heart? It whispers, never love like that again. Never trust that deeply again. Never open yourself up to that kind of loss again. And if you listen to that voice, you don't just lose who you loved, you lose who you are. Grief can shrink your world down to a bunker where nothing can hurt you, but nothing can reach you either. Or grief can crack you open into someone more tender, more empathetic, more alive than you've ever been. You start noticing other people's pain. You start speaking more gently. You start loving more intentionally, not because you're not V, but because you understand what's at stake. You understand that every goodbye could be the last one, that every ordinary moment is secretly sacred, that every person you love is temporarily on loan. So you stop postponing your love. You say the things you used to swallow. You hug people longer. You forgive faster. You show up truer. This is not weakness. This is ferocious, defiant softness in a brutal world. Grief is trying to initiate you into a deeper humanity, not into numbness, not into isolation, not into emotional exile, but into a life where your heart stays open even after it's been shattered. That's not reckless. That's revolutionary. And that courage is another doorway into your new beginning. Here's something beautiful most people miss when they're consumed by grief. Transformation doesn't always arrive in grand, dramatic bursts. Most of the time, it whispers. You notice it in the way you make your morning coffee without feeling hollow. You notice it in the gentle smile that slips onto your face when you see a stranger's kindness. You notice it in the quiet strength that surfaces when your body aches with exhaustion, but your heart refuses to give up. Grief reshapes your life one small, almost imperceptible step at a time. You learn to sit with discomfort without needing to escape. You learn to speak your truth, even when others turn away. You learn to let tears fall freely, even in crowded rooms, because authenticity is the only currency that survives pain. And here's the sacred lesson: these small transformations are not meaningless. Each act of courage, no matter how tiny, is a stitch in the fabric of your new self. Each moment of presence, each pause to honor your emotions, each choice to live fully is a declaration: I am here, I am alive, I am still capable of joy. You don't need to leap into a new life overnight. You just need to let grief teach you how to take the next step. And then the step after that, because new beginnings are rarely loud. They're rarely sudden. They're quiet revolutions that start in your heart and ripple outward. And before you know it, you are someone who has survived impossible things. And in that survival, you have found the strength to thrive. Grief is not just a teacher of endings. It is a midwife to rebirth. And the rebirth is already starting right now in the tiniest ways. Let me be brutally honest. Grief will try to convince you that joy is a betrayal. For a while, you might believe that if you laugh, if you celebrate, if you feel a spark of pleasure, you are somehow dishonoring the memory of what you lost. And the truth is, grief is lying to you, because joy and grief are not opposites. They are not mutually exclusive. They are threads that can exist in the same tapestry. Grief teaches you how to feel more deeply, and the deeper you feel, the more exquisite joy can become. When laughter returns after loss, it is not shallow. It is holy. It is proof that your heart still beats, that love still matters, that life, in all its chaos and imperfection, is worth living. You start to notice the beauty you ignored before, the warmth of sunlight spilling across the floor, the taste of a meal shared with friends, the way music moves your chest like it is pulling your soul back together. These moments become sacred rituals, reminders that life is still happening, even after the darkness. And here's the miracle: when you allow joy back in, it does not diminish your grief. It coexists. It honors the complexity of your human experience. It tells the world, I will carry what was lost, but I will also carry life forward. You start seeking out experiences that awaken your soul, not just distract your pain. You learn to treasure laughter as fiercely as you mourn tears. You realize that joy is not the opposite of love. It is an extension of it. And the more you welcome these moments, the more your new beginning grows roots. Quietly, steadily, irrevocably within you. Grief does not want to destroy you. It wants to teach you how to feel fully. And in that fullness, you begin to live again. Here's the most radical thing grief will demand of you. It will ask you to rewrite your story. Not the story you told yourself about who you are, not the story you told the world about what your life should look like, but the story you thought was fixed, the one that now feels shattered because someone you loved is gone. You realize that your narrative of safety, predictability, and control is gone. And for a moment, that terrifies you. But here's the truth: the blank pages are sacred. Grief gives you permission. No, forces you to stop living a life scripted by fear, by obligation, by the expectations of others. It challenges you to ask the most daring questions. Who do I want to be now? What kind of love do I want to carry forward? What legacy will I leave, even in the face of loss? And the answers will surprise you, because grief does not make you small. Grief makes you brave enough to honor your own voice. Grief makes you bold enough to choose life, even when it hurts. You start saying no to what doesn't serve you. You start saying yes to what ignites your soul. You start creating boundaries, rituals, and habits that protect your heart while expanding it at the same time. This is not a return to who you were. It is a deliberate, fierce step into who you are becoming. And the beautiful irony, by rewriting your story, you honor the story of the one you lost. You carry them forward not as an absence, but as a presence woven into your courage, your choices, and your love. Grief, at its most transformative, is the teacher of one essential truth: you are the author of your life, even after heartbreak. And now you are ready to write the final chapter of this journey. And finally, we arrive at this moment, the threshold you've been inching toward, sometimes against your own disbelief. Grief has done its work, not by removing the pain, not by erasing the loss, but by teaching you how to live alongside it. You have learned the depth of your love. You have discovered the resilience you didn't know you possessed. You have seen how tenderness and strength can coexist in the same heart. This is what new beginnings after loss look like: quiet, courageous, and fiercely alive. You will wake up some morning still aching. That is the truth. Some nights will still feel unbearably long. That is the truth. But now you carry a new map, a map drawn not by comfort or certainty, but by wisdom, presence, and the courage to continue. You will create, you will love, you will serve, you will dream, and in every step you carry the memory of what you lost as a guiding light. Grief does not end. It evolves. And so do you. So stand here with me now in this sacred space between what was and what is coming. Breathe deeply, feel fully, step bravely. Your heart has been shattered, yes, but it has also been opened wide, fierce, unapologetically. And here is the ending you need to hear. Your grief is not your undoing. Your love is not your burden. Your loss is not the end of your story. It is the beginning, and that beginning you are alive, fully, fiercely, wonderfully alive,